Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood in the pristine white chamber aboard the Zephyrian mothership, watching the alien delegation approach with measured steps. Their crystalline forms caught the artificial light, refracting it into prismatic patterns across the walls. For 3 months, humanity had been in contact with the Zephyrian collective, and the negotiations had proceeded with remarkable civility. "Honored Ambassador," spoke Christarch Velton, the lead Zephyrian negotiator, his voice resonating like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "We are pleased to finalize the integration protocols today." Elena nodded, her translation device seamlessly converting her words into the harmonic frequencies the Zephyrians understood. "We're grateful for your patience with our questions, Christarch. Humanity is eager to join the galactic community." The first contact had been everything Earth's xenobiologists had hoped for: peaceful, methodical, and rational. The Zephyrians had approached Earth's orbital stations with clear intentions of diplomacy, sharing star charts and technological blueprints as gestures of goodwill. They spoke of a vast galactic civilization spanning thousands of worlds, all united under their collective's guidance. "There is but one final ceremony to complete," Velton continued, his crystalline appendages shifting into what Elena had learned was their equivalent of a formal posture. "The acknowledgement of hierarchy. It is, how do you say, a formality that all new species must observe." Elena's brow furrowed slightly. "I don't recall this being mentioned in our previous discussions." "A minor oversight," another Zephyrian interjected, this one bearing the darker crystal formations that indicated military rank. "All species must acknowledge their place in the natural order. You will kneel before the Christarch and recite the oath of subordination." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Elena's hand instinctively moved to the communication device at her collar. "I'm sorry, but I think there's been a misunderstanding. Humans don't kneel to anyone." Velton's crystalline structure flickered, a sign of confusion Elena had observed before. "But this is the way. All lesser species acknowledge the superiority of the collective. It is how peace is maintained across the galaxy." "Lesser species?" Elena's voice carried a dangerous edge that her translation device faithfully conveyed as a discordant frequency. "I think we need to clarify something about humanity." Captain Marcus Chen's voice crackled through her earpiece from the human ship, docked nearby. "Elena, we're picking up energy signatures from their weapon systems. What's your status?" Elena touched her collar briefly, the agreed-upon signal for situation developing but under control. She looked directly at Velton, her stance shifting from diplomatic to something far more primal. "Christarch, in our 3 months of negotiations, did you ever wonder why humanity never asked about your military capabilities? Why we never inquired about your weapons or defensive systems?" Velton's harmonic voice wavered. "We assumed you recognized our obvious technological superiority. Your species is still confined to a single star system." Elena smiled, and there was something in that expression that made the Zephyrians' crystals dim noticeably. "We didn't ask because we didn't need to. Do you know what humans have been doing for the past 50,000 years, Christarch? Evolving from primitives, we assume. Fighting." Elena's voice was steady, matter-of-fact. "Fighting each other. Fighting nature. Fighting impossible odds. We've had wars that lasted centuries. We've created weapons that could sterilize our entire planet, then chose not to use them. We've survived ice ages, plagues that killed half our population, and disasters that would have ended most species. The military caste Zephyrian stepped forward aggressively. Empty boasting. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Elena's smile widened. You're absolutely right. Your technology is superior. Your ships are faster, your weapons more advanced, your civilization older and more sophisticated. She paused, letting the translation complete. There's just one problem with that assessment. Which is? You think that matters? The chamber's lights suddenly shifted to emergency amber. Captain Chen's voice came through clearly now, no longer bothering with subtlety. Elena, their entire fleet just powered weapons. Are we going to have a problem? Elena looked at Veltan, who was now pulsing with agitated light patterns. That depends entirely on whether the Crystarch wants to learn. What happens when you threaten a species that has spent millennia perfecting the art of war? You would fight the entire collective? Veltan's voice carried notes of disbelief. There are thousands of species under our guidance, millions of ships, if necessary. Elena's response was immediate and unflinching. But here's what I think will actually happen. You're going to return to your collective and explain that humanity cannot be integrated through subordination. You're going to tell them that humans don't kneel, don't bow, and don't acknowledge any hierarchy except the ones we choose. The military. Zephyrian's crystal structure flared bright red. Your arrogance will doom your species. Maybe, Elena admitted. But it's our arrogance, and it's our choice. That's what you don't understand about humans. We'd rather die free than live on our knees. Captain Chen's voice carried a new urgency. Elena, long-range sensors are showing massive fleet movements. Looks like they're calling in reinforcements. Elena nodded to herself, then addressed Veltan one final time. Crystarch, I want you to do something for me. I want you to access your collective's historical databases and look up every species that was successfully integrated through forced subordination. That would be all of them, Veltan replied, confusion evident in his harmonics. Exactly. Now, ask yourself this. What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Elena began walking toward the exit, her movements casual despite the tension in the room. You're about to find out. As she reached the doorway, she turned back one last time. Oh, and Crystarch? When you brief your superiors, make sure to mention one crucial detail about human history, which is, we've never lost a war that mattered. The docking bay doors were already cycling as Elena returned to the human ship. Behind her, she could hear the urgent harmonic conversations of the Zephyrians, their crystalline voices rising in pitch as they grappled with a concept their 1,000-year-old civilization had never encountered. Captain Chen met her at the airlock. So, how did it go? Elena strapped herself into the command chair as the ship detached from the Zephyrian vessel. About as well as expected. Signal Earth Command. Tell them first contact went smoothly until they tried to make us kneel. And now, Elena watched through the viewport as the massive Zephyrian fleet began forming battle formations, their crystalline hulls gleaming like deadly jewels against the star field. Now we show them why humans have a saying, if you want peace, prepare for war. The human ship turned toward Earth, carrying news that would change everything. Behind them, the Zephyrian collective prepared to learn a lesson that countless extinct civilizations could have taught them, if any had survived to tell. The tale. Some species kneel, some species bow, some species submit. But humans? Humans fight.